Today, Project Saggin Wagon gets a buddy when Ian and Jessi transform a new FJ Cruiser into an exo-cage rock crawler. Then it's man versus Mother Nature in this 3-hour Midwest Enduro. Plus, time-saving welding tips right now on Xtreme 4x4.
Welcome to Xtreme 4x4. Today we have two very similar projects, yet very different. This 85 Toyota Land Cruiser FJ, I guess you could call it our old school trail truck, has already been back-halved, had a custom 4-link in the rear, and a spring over on the front.
And if our Saggin Wagon is our old school build, then this brand new 2007 FJ is obviously our new school trail truck. When we first saw these things hit the showroom floor, we had a great idea. Let's get our hands on one, tear into it, using similar parts and tricks that we did on our old FJ, and then take them out on the trail together for some true Toyota fun.
On the front end of our Saggin Wagon, we performed an SOA conversion installing new Deaver leaf springs on the top side of our axle tube. This gave us about 5 inches of lift. Now we can go ahead and take care of the steering using a high steer kit from Marlin Crawler. The kit includes CNC machined high steer arms that we've already installed to help keep the axle assembly together. It also comes with 1/4 inch wall tie rod, pre-lubed tie rod ends, and a pitman arm.
Now you guys have probably already seen some of these newer FJs out there with lift kits and larger wheels and tires. And I've seen a couple of them out on the trail with serious work done, like fully linked suspension, Dana 60s front and rear. But we thought with our 07, why not treat it the same as our 85 and try to keep the majority of the running gear all Toyota. So that made us think, why not just use an over-the-counter lift? Our MX series suspension system from ProComp will give our FJ a true 6 inches of lift, thanks to the new ProComp Xtreme coil-over shocks we'll install in the front. On the rear, we'll use some variable rate coil springs as well as some MX6 adjustable shocks. Now, like most IFS kits, it uses drop-down brackets for the 2 front control arms. But we also are going to install a set of new nodular iron steering knuckles. Now, these are designed to keep the factory rack and pinion in its stock location, basically keeping it up out of harm's way when the truck's off-road.
Now the high steer kit is only one piece to our entire steering puzzle on the classic FJ. Now that it's installed, we can go ahead and find the location for our hydraulic ram assist kit from PSC. Now it all starts with this fully rebuilt and tapped Scout 2 steering box that I'm going to mount to the frame. And then from that point, the drag link will connect right on to this Wagoneer pitman arm. With it bolted to the steering box, I'll clamp it to the frame to check for alignment of the drag link. Then I'll mark the location of the mounting bolts. Drill. There's no way I can do 5 more of those. And insert slugs into the frame. And weld them into place. Then the box can be bolted in for good.
With our front suspension removed, along with this front diff, we can go ahead and start installing some of the parts from ProComp. The rear cross member will need to be installed first to act as a template for our frame cut. Then once the cut is complete, both front and rear cross members can be installed. With the new bushings installed on the differential, we can raise it back into place and secure it to the rear cross member. Hey Jess, come here for a second, would you? We'll install the factory lower control arms. Then the new MX series coilovers can be installed, followed by the new nodular knuckles. Then the wheel bearings, axle shaft, and sway bar can also be reinstalled. And once the brake lines and ABS wires are relocated, the compression struts can be installed between the rear cross member and the pockets mounted to the truck's frame. In the rear, with the shocks and rear sway bar disconnected, lower the axle to remove the stock rear spring. Unbolt and replace the rear upper control arms. Then install the track bar relocation bracket, the new springs, as well as the adjustable MX series shocks. And the rear axle can be raised back into position. Sway bar and upper control arms and track bar are then reattached.
For the new FJ, we're going to be using 35 by 12.5-inch Pro Comp Xtreme MTs mounted on 17-inch Xtreme alloys with a custom functional beadlock already installed. Now the MT is a 3-ply mud terrain with deep buttress treads that extend far down into the sidewall, so they're still functional even when they're aired down.
And with these new tires on our new FJ, we'll be one step closer to getting this thing on the trail.
Mm-hmm. You got that one?
Yep.
Cool.
Later on, bend, cut, notch, and voila, exoskeleton. But up next, hold on for this pedal-mashing marathon, off-road endurance racing, when Xtreme 4x4 continues. Time now for an Xtreme 4x4 tech tip.
Now whether you're repairing a rust patch or you're shaving the entire body on your truck or you're just giving your differential a little added protection, there's always that one filler piece right in the middle that you either don't have access to from the back side or you just need a third hand to kind of help hold it in place. Well, here's a little tip for you. All you gotta do is take a nail or a TIG rod and tack weld it onto that piece. And voila, you have a handy little handle that all you have to do is put it in, tack weld your piece in, and then once it's all welded in, just break it right off, and you did it all by yourself. You don't need that extra hand.
Now you guys might think that only trophy trucks are built to race at speed for extended lengths of time. Well, get ready for the Casey, Illinois Enduro. Since 1975, the Mid-America Off-Road Club has hosted one of the toughest endurance series in the country.
Non-stop adrenaline is what it is. It is amazing. You need nerves of steel for this kind of racing.
Around the 3-mile course, they had to endure this brutality for 125 miles.
It's absolutely hardcore. You tuck them in and go. It's pretty ballsy.
It's man versus nature out here. It really is. You know, going through the hills and hollers, you just don't know what you're going to get.
Requiring the focus of an assassin, one missed corner can be deadly.
Trees do hurt. You're running 6 inches off the side of them trees, one slight move, and you're going to be hurt.
It's a scary thing. It's really scary.
Trees won't move, boys. If you hit one of those, you're going to tear up something. That's all there is to it.
Billed as the Fall Classic, 7 trucks and 16 buggies lined up for the season finale. Most could not make it to the finish.
Rough, tough. Takes a lot to finish the whole thing.
They'll be upside down and wet and broke and towed in.
One lap in, Brian Bulwell was the first casualty.
It's pretty frustrating. Last race of the year, our biggest race. I was really looking forward to running today, but just not going to happen.
This is definitely a war of attrition. You're going to see half the field gone probably after the first half of the race.
Oh, a lot of trucks break on this. A lot of them.
30 years ago, Richard Albin helped start the endurance series. Now at age 69, he's still going at it.
I hope I can do it when I'm his age.
I was going to quit when I was 65, but I still felt good, and I'm just going to keep doing it.
The only rocking chair he's interested in has 4 wheels, as this woods warrior hasn't lost his thirst for battle.
I still feel kind of queasy in my stomach when I pull on that line. As soon as that green flag comes up, it's all gone. And something else takes over, and you try to get to the front.
On the track, Richard's never say quit attitude has made him a fan favorite. In the pits, he's been a mentor and a role model for the younger generation.
When you talk, you listen. You know, he's been doing this for, pretty much his whole life.
He has helped us out, giving us ideas, giving me moral support, giving me ideas on the track, telling me what I'm doing wrong, telling me what I'm doing right, or maybe how to do it just a little bit better.
I enjoy how they feel towards me and everything, and that's the reason I want to keep helping them as long as I can.
For the 3-hour epic, he teamed up with Justin Broomer. Their game plan, survival.
Enduro race strategy, number 1, is to go out there and hold your vehicle together. You have to be able to save your truck and keep going till the 120 miles is up.
At the halfway point, problem.
The truck's got a lot of miles on it, so it's hard to tell, but I think it may be fuel related.
In endurance racing, failure is not breaking down, but staying down.
Well, it's pretty disappointing because he's doing a good job and we was running right up there with him. We'll get it going. It's a long race, so we get back into it.
The breakdown was costly as Dirk Carlin built up a 3-lap lead. Unable to close the gap, Carlson held on for the win, with Team Albin finishing back in 4th.
You never know what's going to happen. I mean, you can get these rub on them and prepare them as good as you can, but something way out of left field is going to happen.
I've never had a vehicle make me walk that much before today. You know, the endurance race, you finish them, that's a good thing in its own right there. Not many people can go out there and finish. We had a lot of trouble today, but when you do get done, it's a relief and you're tired, real tired, thirsty.
I guess you could say that this was a pretty extreme race considering every truck broke down at least once before it made it to the finish.
And these guys don't have big dollar support teams. The drivers were back fixing these trucks, getting them back in the race and finishing just like true competitors. Welcome back to Xtreme 4x4, where we're in the middle of building our 2 FJ Cruisers into truly competent off-road trucks. Our 2007 brand new truck and our old 85 Saggin Wagon. And we're keeping both of them truly Toyota at heart, as well as using a lot of the same parts in each one.
Now when we did the spring over conversion on this truck, we did a shackle reversal, so the swing shackle's in the rear, which gives us a better approach angle. And this truck hasn't had a bumper on it since forever. So before we can mount the winch, we've got to build a bumper. It's a giant winch. Kind of looks like a boat, huh?
Now, lucky for us, our 2007 FJ has aftermarket bumpers readily available for it, and we chose both front and rear ones from Warren. Now, these are a heavy-duty rock crawler series bumper made out of 3/16 and 1/4-inch plate. They're CNC formed and robotically welded, and these tapered outer wings will actually improve our approach and departure angles. The front has an integrated grill guard, while the rear has eyelets welded in place to mount D-ring shackles. With the stock rear bumper removed, I need to cut a trim piece off both sides to cover the exposed area under the taillights. Then I'll simply bolt on the Warren bumper using the FJ's factory mounting points. Our front bumper also has provisions for all popular Warren winches.
We saw this Warren winch at the SEMA show where it won Best New Off-Road 4-Wheel Drive Product Award because of its innovative design. This power plant HP combines the benefits of having a 9,500-pound winch with a fast line speed along with an onboard premium air compressor. Plus, there's no additional wiring or plumbing required. It installs just like a standard winch where we can spend more time on the trail. Now this package will allow us to air up our tires or even use air tools like this impact wrench.
Now, as I'm sure you guys have figured out by now, we're trying to use a lot of the same parts in both of our FJ Cruisers, old and new. And now that we have our power plant winch in the front bumper of this 2007, we can go ahead and start planning for some driver and passenger protection. Now, we didn't really want to gut out the inside of this truck and put a roll cage in there. We didn't want to get that evasive. So we're going to install what's called an exoskeleton. Now, the exo cage or exoskeleton will protect the interior of the truck and the passenger and the driver just in case of a rollover. But it also does something else. This truck retails for just a shade under like 30 grand. So it's going to help protect some of these body panels just in case this thing should get on its side. Now, we're not going to protect everything that's impossibilities. We're going to probably run one tube across the front fender to protect this. We're running upright up to the roof. We can't block these double doors here because they won't be able to open. And we'll probably run a second one down through here and then just continue on to the back, protecting the major things like this light that sticks out. It's in the way.
Now, because we could gut the inside of the 85 FJ, we went ahead and built a full interior roll cage. And after the break, I'll be finishing up and installing three suspension seats.
Are you ready? Let's begin. Welcome back to Xtreme 4x4, where we're right in the middle of turning both an 85 and a 2007 FJ into true competent trail trucks. Now, building a full exo cage really is no different than building a roll cage inside a truck. You want to keep the tubes as close to the body panels as possible, but not so close that if the cage hits a rock or a tree, it's going to tear into the body. Now, as you guys could probably see, our new FJ is full of very distinctive body lines, and we don't really want to hide those with our exo cage. If anything, we want to kind of accentuate them in the same way that Warren did with this grill guard, kind of matches the Toyota grill shell. So we did the same thing here with these two tubes to match the turn signal and kind of a flat fender design to match this fender. Now on the roof, we threw a peak in that overhead bar to sort of match that roof line on this truck.
Only a trained eye would know this truck was once an FJ Cruiser, because we got away so much of the body. But one feature we wanted to keep was the rear door, not only to keep the style of the wagon, but also to make it easier to get in and out of the back seat. And speaking of seats, we chose these Ultra RS suspension seats from Baird. They've got a really tight footprint area, but still offer features like total driver containment with this 3-inch taller hip area. And as you can see, these seats have been treated with a custom spider web stitch. Now when I'm out wheeling, I like to listen to music. And a cool thing about Baird is that they offer MTX speakers mounted right in the headrests.
Now, one thing that we definitely wanted on this truck was some off-road lights. But there wasn't a lot of room on this front bumper, so we decided to add them to the exo cage itself. And we're using 4 ARB IPF lights, 2 driving and 2 spot. Probably the biggest thing about this exo cage is that it's going to be removable. It's going to come off this front bumper right here where it'll be bolted on, and then it's also going to split right above the driver and passenger, and the whole rear section is going to come off as one piece, and the front section will come off. That way you can finish weld around on the backside, as well as clean it up, paint it, and then put it back on.
Well, that's all we have for you today on the old and new school FJ Cruisers. The next time you see this old one, we will be doing some rewiring and getting some gears in the transfer case and make it a doubler.
And in our 2007 FJ, we'll basically be tearing to the diffs, putting some ARB lockers in it front and rear to make it a true off-road machine, adding some power to the engine, and just finishing up some odds and ends. And then both these trucks are going to hit the trail
together.
Oh, that sounded cool.
We'll see you next time.
It's like the same.